Hey guys, it's Ken, and we have an amazing episode of the No Money Real Estate Podcast today. I'm here with Mr. Wonderful, the Shark. Kevin O'Leary is going to join me on the show, and we're going to get started right after this.
Hey, my name's Ken, and I'm a real estate investor. I want to welcome you to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. On this show, I'm going to interview elite level real estate investors from all over North America, and I'm going to help you to see one thing that all successful real estate investors have in common. They built their portfolios without using a dime of their own money. I've got a portfolio of $300 million in real estate. That includes resorts, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, and I've built the entire portfolio without using a dime of my own money. Real estate is a business that anybody can get into, but the strategies that those tight real estate investors use to build massive portfolios have been kept secret for decades. Now, because of this show, I'm going to reveal them to you. So let's get started.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Kevin, it's really great to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Great to be here, Ken. Looking forward to getting together again.
Yeah, totally. And I really want to thank you in front of everybody for coming up to Toronto for the Real Estate Investors Summit. There's a lot of people excited to see you. But listen, I asked you to come and jump on this show with me because I kind of wanted Kevin O'Leary's state of the real estate business, state of the economy when it comes to real estate. And I was hoping you might take us back a little bit because I know you've been dabbling in and investing in real estate for a long time. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. And then just before we started, you told me about your latest real estate venture, which I'd really like to hear about and talk about once we get started.
You know, I've always had about a third of my portfolio in real estate, everything from residential, multifamily, condos, commercial, storage. I like real estate. I like it because it's a hard asset. It's never going away. It's just a core. And I mean, it's probably my biggest investment really, and always has been. And I live in it. That's the other part. And so it's kind of an ongoing thing. And I have been dabbling in a bunch of areas. Obviously, we had some stress on our commercial real estate in the US during the pandemic, where I was renting space, office space, but not in our residential portfolios or condos or multifamily. We did very well during that period and still are. So you got to balance. You got to balance. I love use cases for real estate that have what I like to say cash flow. That, for example, people say to me, "Oh, why do you do climate controlled storage? It's so boring." And I say, yes. You're darn tootin' right, it's boring. I get that check every month. That's what I love about it. I love boring and I love cash flow. And yeah, I still do that too.
Hey, listen, one of the things that I'd love to hear your opinion on is a topic that you actually spurred in me the last time we talked back before our last event. And it's the idea you just alluded to, cash flowing real estate. You know, I've been building a real estate portfolio for 25 years. And a lot of that time I had the typical stuff, the rentals and the apartments. But then I decided I was only going to do things that cash flow, that had extra cash flows in them. And it was because that's the advice you gave me the last time we spoke. So I've gotten into resorts where I'm buying the real estate, renovating the properties, and then hiring a team to run them so I can really dig into the cash that's associated with that business. What are your thoughts on that subject today? Cash flowing real estate, is it still like how far outside of the box do you start looking to find real cash flow? Is it the businesses that own the real estate, or are there other businesses that you're seeing that have natural cash flow streams in them?
Well, let's talk about your premise around resorts. And I'll tell you why that's interesting. The demographics in your favor. More and more families want to vacation together. They've gone through the experience of the pandemic. In the winter time for northern climes, they want to go somewhere south. So resorts on islands are good. They want a complete package. They want it made easy. All of those things matter. And so when you start talking about buying resorts and renovating them, you need some executional skills. You need a good team because you got to do that right. And then you got to market it. But they have wonderful recurring cash flows. I mean, that's because often what happens is about a third of the people that go there come back. So your customer acquisition cost goes down and down and down and down, and you get the database of all these people. You incentivize them to return each year. I mean, I can't say enough good stuff about that business. And I watched it happen up in Muskoka, Canada, on those lakes up there, Lake Joe, Lake Rosso, Lake Muskoka. Even my American friends in Miami are talking to me, in fact, happened this summer, rented, for 3 months and brought their entire family up there and fell in
Yep.
love with cottage life in Canada. It's a derivative of what families want. And I think when you start to think about real estate, you want things that have a recurring revenue, recurring cash flows. And I think that's a very good instinct.
I mean, that was the whole idea of it, right? Like we had that conversation back in 2001, and I was working on cottages, and I mentioned to you the idea of getting into the resorts. And the reason I liked it is when I started analyzing the model, I saw that most of these resorts were operating at about a 40, even sometimes 50% net operating income, an NOI. I've had a bunch of businesses. I've never seen businesses that consistently do 50% profit. And that's why I got into it. But looking at real estate yourself, Kevin, have you seen other things that are intriguing you when it comes to net operating income and the money that comes along with the real estate?
I have. I have been getting into a new asset class, data centers, this whole AI revolution. These are complex projects. You require fiber optic, high speed. You require permits. You require about 130 acres minimum. But the biggest challenge is you require power at under 6 cents a kilowatt hour. Places like West Virginia, North Dakota, South Dakota, those are right in Texas. Those are the states right now that have all those metrics because you require something else called redundancy on the power. So you have to be able to burn. These things have to be up basically, almost 24 hours a day, and they're only allowed when you get a tenant like Amazon, they only allow you to be down 14 seconds a month. So you need diesel backup generators. So what I've been doing is tying up the land, buying the land, going to power authorities, paying for power studies, that's pretty expensive, hiring engineering firms, managing that process, doing all kinds of geological studies of the land to make sure they're sound for what's required. This is the most expensive soft cost I've ever done in real estate.
Wow.
But the returns on these centers, when you get one up and running, are in the 22 to 27% annualized.
Oh my God.
So I mean, I'm really interested, but I must admit it's a whole new ballgame for me in terms of how much soft cost. I'm writing, $100,000, $200,000 checks a week to lawyers, engineers, design firms, architects, power authorities, and I haven't even hit the ground yet. Like I'm just, it's sort of, but that's what it takes. So I've got 4 projects on the go, about to sign another one next week, I think, or the week after. 5 different locations.
Good Lord. And obviously, I'm just trying to think through this for a second. Data centers are the future. I mean, everything we're doing, especially with AI, the pull on data, actually it's a push and pull on data, isn't it? Because with AI now, it's pushing the data into a system and pulling it out in milliseconds.
Yeah.
There must be huge opportunity for that. There must be massive opportunity for it.
There is, but it's proving to be far more complex than I originally envisioned. So I'm learning as I go. Here's the thing. The big tenants like, Tesla, for example, they're not interested in doing any land development. They're not interested in negotiating permits. They don't care about any of that. They want a completely pre-prepared, open the box and start running deal. And that means everything has to be worked out that they want specifically. So that you got to go develop the land, you got to build the data center, you got to get the permits, you got to get the power, you got to get the water, you have to get the roads, you have to get all that stuff. And you have to put it near somewhere where their employees can live, where they can, get dry cleaning, restaurants, schools, all that stuff. So you got a lot of different things here. Each one of these centers provides about 250 engineering jobs. That's a lot of good jobs. So
Crap.
most states are interested in supporting these initiatives, and they do that through helping you get the power for them, because the minimum these days is 500 megawatts, which is big. That's really big. It's a lot of power. People are talking about nuclear power now, natural gas, all that stuff, turbines, everything. But yeah, it reminds me in the early days of climate control storage. It's like, it's a full circle for me. It's almost the same thing. Those were very complex to get permitted.
Yep.
Had the additional hassle that we're creating a whole lot of jobs. You can run a complete climate control storage facility with 6 employees. That's different here. We got a lot more. But look, we'll see how it goes. I'm not the only guy doing this. There's 5 or 6 groups. There's a tremendous amount of capital available for it. That's one thing I will say. But you got to get the permits.
Kevin, every time I get a chance to talk to you, we end up talking about things like this that are advanced businesses by any stretch of the imagination. But I have, for the last couple of years, really been trying to create a lot of content to motivate new people, to motivate folks to get into things like this and to go down that road. And I'm almost wondering if you take a look at your journey from where you are now going backwards to where you started, and you kind of try to encapsulate all of that. And somebody were to ask you, like, if I wanted to be Mr. Wonderful one day, if I wanted to get to the levels of success you are, where do I go? What's the direction you would send me in?
You know, if you get a room of 100 people, 30 of them can pursue the entrepreneurial journey. The other 2/3 can't. That's my sort of ratio I've learned over a long period of time, because it is not a stable life. It's not a 9 to 5 gig. It takes a certain amount of focus to do this and a certain amount of tolerance of risk. It's a volatile journey, and it's a journey for sure, not a destination. And so I don't tell everybody to pursue this. You either know you can do it or you don't. Once you get yourself in that mindset, then you start trying to find people that have done the journey or are in it that can help you or mentor you or provide you with some information to avoid the pitfalls that you should avoid. And there's lots of basic rules. So when we get together soon, I'm going to be talking a lot about entrepreneurship, what it takes, what mistakes are made, what the new economy looks like, what are some of the best practices about how to live your life if you're going to do this. I think it's useful information. I certainly teach it now at colleges all over North America, but I look forward to it. It's not for everybody. You make this leap, you're going to be working 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, and it ain't going to stop.
It's funny. Let's just focus on that ain't going to stop part, because up here in Canada, you are probably the example everybody in this country uses as to success as an entrepreneur, and you do not need to work anymore. You're making significant amounts of money passively, but you're still working 20-hour days right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I really enjoy the people I work with and the teams I've built. And I love it when people tell me you can't do that. I just love that. I'm always being told, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You know, somebody told me you can't get into the watch insurance business because it's dominated. And to that, I say bullshit. You know, if I have a better idea, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to find my way. It's all that matters is the customer. If you have a better proposition to the customer, you're going to get share. And if you have the ability to reach the customer, and I'm very fortunate, I have 9 million followers on social media. It's my own network. I'm going to acquire customers because I'm just going to tell them the truth. I'm going to say what I got. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I do that in many different businesses. There's nothing more motivating than being challenged. And I think this is very challenging. I tell entrepreneurs the best way to stay sharp is to find projects outside of your comfort zone you've never done before. I'm acting in a feature movie right now. I've never done scripted before. I've never been an actor, but I'm doing it. I'm shooting in New York City right now. And it's definitely, you know, I know how to do reality TV. I've been doing that for 20 years, but I've never gone on a movie set and, you know, memorized my lines and delivered them and gone through the whole rigmarole of shooting a movie. It's like a ballet. It's not like sitting in a chair. You're moving, you got to be at the right spot, you've got extras, all that stuff. But the point is you want to be doing things that challenge you. And once you're successful as an entrepreneur, it's like you. I mean, look at what you've done since we last met. You've grown your business geometrically because you don't know anything else. That's what you do. And I think that's the disease every entrepreneur gets.
Is it fair to say that as long as there's something new to try, then you're going to try to do it?
100%. I mean, if I like it, if it's of interest to me, people show me stuff all the time. You know, somebody told me about dumplings about 8 months ago. Dumplings are the new pizza slice in American college towns. It's come roaring up. I mean, it's hot as hell right now. So, you know, and dumplings in Japan are sold in automated, heated vending machines. So you only have one employee in 300 square feet. The dumplings are done in a commercial kitchen in the regions, sent frozen. And then they're just heated and sold in these machines. So your costs are significantly lower and your margins are much higher. So I'm in one of the principals in Brooklyn Dumplings, and we've got a whole bunch of franchises lighting up in Canada. We started in Calgary, and we're moving right across the country. And I love dumplings. I'm a dumplings guy, and you know, Chef Wonderful is one of my characters on QVC. We sell dumplings every time I go on the air. But you know, it's amazing how these food trends can take off, because what always drives a bunch of kids to buy something at midnight, and everybody listening knows what I'm talking about. You've had a big party night out, you want that slob of pizza. Now they want those dumplings. And we're just killing it. It's great business.
Kevin, are you allowed to say who you're co-starring with in that movie, or is that stuff confidential?
Oh no, it's out there. It's Timothy Chalamet, the hot kid from
Yep.
Dune.
Yep.
He's Marty Supreme. He's the guy I'm across from.
Yep.
He's the guy messing with my wife, Gwyneth Paltrow. So we have a loveless marriage. We fight all the time. But Gwyneth, who's named Kay in the movie, is the #1 socialite in New York in 1952. So we get to, hang out in New York, completely redone to 52 and all these incredible restaurants and, events and stuff. It's just amazing with hundreds of extras. Timmy's a really smart kid. He's 28 years old. I've got to know him a bit. He's fantastic. Lots of other characters.
So I need to know, what is the craziest business idea you've ever gotten into? The reason I'm asking you that is I'm wondering are you doing it right now? Like the fact that you're a star in a major motion picture with Oscar and Academy Award winners, is this now a new high for you in terms of actually being in this movie?
Well, I wanted to try it because I'd never done it before. And the guy who wrote it, Ronnie Bronstein, he came to me and said, look, I'm a huge Shark Tank fan. And we think the Milton character, Milton Rockwell, is you on Shark Tank. We're looking for a real asshole and you're it. We'd like you to try and read this script with us. And it's funny because it was the week after I got my hip surgery. And I said, look, I could fly to you, but I don't think it's a good idea for me to get on a plane while my hip is healing. Why don't you come to me and we can hang out on the lake here at my cottage and we'll read this script together, which they did. And, it just fell together. I mean, I really felt like I was Milton and I got into it and we role played it. And the next week they hired me.
That's freaking amazing. Well, when is it supposed to hit the movie theaters? When is it going to be published?
Well, we're going to be shooting all the way till January, February in Tokyo. So I don't think it'll show up till the fall of next year. This is a big release. It'll probably go to Cannes, one of the big film festivals. I'm looking forward to all that stuff. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, it's going to be neat to see you in that different mode. I would love to be
Oh, by the way, I have hair in this thing. It takes them 3 hours to put the hair in every morning because when you're shooting a movie, close-ups, you can't use a traditional wig. It looks fake. So what they did is they put on a fake skull and they put the hairs in one at a time.
Holy shit.
Real human hair. So it's, when my wife saw it, she said, whoa, keep the hair.
I wish I was a fly on the wall because as long as I've known you, trying to keep you to a script would be a nightmare.
We shoot the scene 3 times to the letter of the script. Then we improv, maybe 4 or 5 takes. So it takes about 14 hours to shoot 15 seconds of the movie.
Wow.
Because you're shooting all those takes and then you're shooting all the close-ups of the takes and then the wide shot of the takes over and over and over and over and over. You've never seen anything like it. And it's, we shoot this in film, not on video.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
So, 35 mil film and those cartridges are only 12 minutes each. So it's really quite it's remarkable that the talent, the people that do this, French cinematographers. And, when we did a scene in Paris set in New York, they went to the trouble of finding 150 extras that spoke fluent Parisian French so that the background din would be in French, but not Quebec French, Parisian French.
Oh, wow.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. So when you're speaking at the Real Estate Investors Summit and you're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and how to succeed as an entrepreneur, are we going to get a couple little glimpses from the movie and recording?
Oh, yeah. I'll talk about that, but I will say something about entrepreneurship. I now have decades of data of the winners and losers I've invested in across all 11 sectors. It's really interesting to see what those traits are that end up providing success to an entrepreneur. And it'd be things that you would not assume. I'm going to save it for the seminar, but I think it's going to be the best part of my presentation. This is not some academic research. This is real data of winners and losers over a long period of time. And so some very interesting attributes. And one of them, which I find fascinating, which continues on after 20 years, is almost 70% of my returns come from companies run by women. So what are they doing? And I have that data. I'm going to talk about what they do and how they do it and why they get these extraordinary results. They don't know each other. Their businesses are all different.
Yep.
They're in different states, different countries even. It's really remarkable. And I can start to see these attributes in people now.
And we're really excited to have you coming to that. Listen, thanks for dropping by today, brother. I am watching closely. I can't wait for the movie, and definitely we look forward to seeing you in Toronto later this month.
Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.